Welcome to Inspiring Conversations. My name is Danielle Benson, and I am here today with Lorri Klassen, who is going to be telling us all about the exciting world of social media. So to let you know a little bit about Lorri, I am joined here today with Lorri Klassen, and she owns and runs a professional hands-on social media marketing agency, which has been managing content marketing and social advertising campaigns for brands and businesses since 2011. And I met Lorri in probably around 2011, actually, 2011, 2012.
I want to say 12 maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2012, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe it was a little bit, anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter when we met. I heard her speak, and she was speaking on social media. It was just an hour. It wasn't super deep dive, but she said a couple of things that have stuck with me and that I still regurgitate to other people as advice, and I still use for myself. And she really demystified the process for me in a very short amount of time. And so I am super, super, super excited to have her join us here today, because we are living in an online world now.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining me, Lorri.
Thank you so much for asking. I'm beyond thrilled to be here and just to connect with you and share what I know and hopefully help a little.
Hopefully. I think you are definitely going to help a lot.
Okay, cool.
Well, and I mean, I think social media is very intimidating for a lot of us. I know for me, I've only just started to kind of be on Facebook more than once every 6 months. I kind of go on, it's part of my social anxiety. I go on, I get overwhelmed, I run away, and I don't check it again for 6 months. And my LinkedIn account hasn't been touched in 3 years. And, so a lot of us, I think, especially in like the speaking industry, we're such people, and we're used to doing everything in person, and now we have to do it online. We know we have to do it online. There's a lot of opportunities. It's actually really fun, but it can be quite a learning curve. So what would you advise for people who are kind of new to this whole online world? I mean, I know it's weird to be new to the online world because it's been around for a while.
You'd be surprised.
For those of us who are used to conducting business in person, what would be your advice on how to just approach it gently?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Do approach it gingerly. I would say sort of test drive the different platforms in terms of just poke your nose around. If you're not comfortable with Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, I no longer am that social media specialist that says you have to be everywhere, because you don't. You have to be somewhere where you're going to be comfortable, because if you're comfortable there, you're going to want to come back time and time again. And the saying that I probably said at, way back at the Karen, what was that called again? Rock the Stage?
It was at Rock the Stage with Karen McGregor, yes.
Just that if you're not showing up on your Facebook or your Instagram or your LinkedIn, it's like an empty storefront, and your customers or clients, they're going to look elsewhere if nobody's home, right? So, but the algorithms and the social channels themselves have changed so much over the last couple of years that it's no longer necessary really to be all things to all people. So in your poking around and dipping your toe in the water, find somewhere where you're really comfortable and you think that you're willing and ready to make a commitment, because that is another key to your success here, is the being consistent. So making that commitment will mean that you need to be consistent, even if consistency means once a week or once every other week for that matter. Your audience and the people that are going to be there reading and following and poking their nose around your content, they're going to come to expect that, oh, you know what, she posts twice a month and now I'm ready for it, kind of thing. So definitely just find the place where you are most comfortable. And sometimes that's hard, because like I'm most comfortable with Instagram. I love Instagram to death, but the majority of my avatar don't necessarily spend time on Instagram. So for me, it's become more of that's where I give little tidbits about myself, but it's more of a sort of a teaching and that type of a platform. So
yeah, and I think that's the big difference between business people on social media and being on social media in a personal sense, is that
yes,
it's not about you, it's about your clients. So you have
correct.
to go to them. You can't expect them necessarily to come to you. I do
Exactly.
appreciate you giving us permission to just do one thing at a time. It's getting harder
Yeah,
and harder to do everything because more and more opportunities are coming up, and it's overwhelming, and I don't think it's
extremely.
possible to be everywhere
Not
anymore.
without a team. As a one person show, it's so challenging. You will lose sleep. You will stress yourself out to the degree where you don't need to.
Hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. Just find like, so if LinkedIn is your place, hang out there every day or a couple of times a week or
Hmm.
whatever it is. And that, yeah, the more you do that and the more consistent you become with sharing content and engaging with other people,
Hmm.
the better off you'll be in the long run.
Hmm. That I have another question, but before I get to that, I just wanted to say that's one of the things you said many, many, many years ago that really stuck with me, is that, when you're in a conversation, you don't just talk at someone.
Mhm.
Listening is more important, and you said that on social media is also, it's the same. It's the same. You want
Very
to be
much. Yeah.
listening more, and that took so much pressure off me, because I felt like there was so much pressure to be entertaining and to give content, and it's like, oh, I can just sit back and listen to people, and I enjoy doing that in life, so I could do
Yeah.
that on social media too.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of value still in producing good
Mm,
quality content,
of
but
course.
it's far better to produce one or two pieces of something really,
Mm,
really great that is going to spur some conversation and some engagement, and then be listening to reading all the comments, reading the questions, and
mhm.
engaging with those people. So yeah.
And it's so much easier to have something relevant to say if you've
Yes.
been listening to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are ways around, listening if you don't have engagement on your channels just yet. There are ways to research that aren't hard. So,
That sounds exciting. Before we get
yeah.
into the meaty content of all this, all the questions I
Yes.
have, I did want to just ask a little bit of, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your story and kind of how you got here, because I know you've been doing what you do for almost a decade now,
Mhm.
and I was just wondering what kind of pulled you into this at the beginning. What made you excited about social media and advertising and
Well,
that
I
kind of
love
stuff?
sharing my story, so thanks for asking. Yeah, so when I started my agency back in 2011, I was a working stiff, right? Like I went from job to job to job. I was never satisfied or fulfilled on any level, but I was a single mom and I needed to support my daughters. And one day in January of 2011, I just was pulled into the staff room or whatever. I was pulled into one of the rooms and said, "This is your last day. Here are your things. I'll escort you to your car." And I was like, Pardon? So, I mean, I realized at that point, I knew deep down I'd always wanted to try being my own boss. That's very different than being an entrepreneur, which I've since learned. But at that time I was like, I want to be my own boss. I want to give this a try. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And Facebook was just really coming to the surface at that point. And I loved it. I was fascinated. I connected with so many people on Facebook right off the bat. First and foremost, it was people from my past and just reconnecting with old friends and that kind of thing. And then it turned into so much more. And it didn't take long at all. I'm talking weeks before I was like, if people can connect on this level, why couldn't businesses? Like, there's got to be a way to do business on social media or on Facebook at that time. And yeah, I just started doing whatever research I could find. And at that point, there wasn't much in terms of training for social media manager, but I took a course, of course, the only course that I could find at that time. And I just hit the ground running, and I haven't stopped. So, a lot of what I know now is I mean, it's so much more than the course that I took back in 2011. But I'm fascinated by the connectivity and the service portion of it. And I'm also super geeky. So I love the numbers. I love the science behind it. I love seeing the statistics and what drives them to click here and not here and that kind of thing. So those two things combined and add creativity into that mix, and it's the world that I was meant to live in. So yeah, just those three elements of connectivity, creativity, and the numbers thing. It's fascinating to me, and I see what's possible every single day, and that fuels me every day. I love it so much.
Aw, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to have something to get geeky about. I geek out about things, and I think
Right?
everyone should have something that they geek out about. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's my rocket fuel. Like that's what it's very exciting to me.
And it's so inspiring, because I think for a lot of us, and I know for myself, I'm always kind of struggling with the whole, like, I'm a speaker and I teach speaking, but a big part of me doesn't like being seen and wants to hide and doesn't feel worthy. So the fact that you really took to this idea of sharing your story and getting out there and connecting with people, that it can be done in a way that feels joyful.
Exactly.
is inspiring to me, because I always kind of approach it with a little bit of dread. So that's
Well,
nice to hear.
and don't get me wrong though, like sharing to the point of being vulnerable there is an element of necessity for success in today's social media marketing. And that still becomes, it still is challenging for myself included. Like I haven't shared my deepest, darkest secrets on the internet, although, I have shared a few sprinkling of things here and there. But, the more that you're willing to just like because you are building relationship. I don't care if you are Coca-Cola or if you are a life coach who has 4 clients, like you are building relationship. So the more that like in any human relationship, the more you can open yourself up, the more you can receive. So,
absolutely.
And that's hard though, because people do hide behind their screens and their phones, and they say really rotten things, and they can be really mean. And I mean, for a number of years, I was selling just a bit of a side gig. I was selling some like facial cream stuff, and I made all kinds of YouTube videos. And let me tell you, like people telling you how old and ugly and wrinkly you are, and it's just like you get kind of thick skin. But those were good lessons for me to learn. And but sharing is something that it just takes time sometimes, because not everybody opens up very easily.
And you got to negotiate that, I mean, I'm all about radical vulnerability, and I think most of the people in my community are very much about vulnerability and authenticity, but you also have to keep yourself safe, because there is that as well. So the internet is the public. It's not a safe space necessarily. And so we do have to navigate that. You said something about consistency, and I think for me, that's the hardest part, as someone who wants to like shine one day and then hibernate for 3 weeks. Building consistency is definitely something I struggle with. Do you have any advice on how to build consistency, how to strategize, how to like prioritize and plan so that we can build this consistent relationship with people and not feel like we're appearing and disappearing?
The easiest way to explain it that I've ever come across is truly just thinking of it as building a relationship. So if you were dating someone new, you wouldn't ignore them for 3 weeks, especially if you really liked them. So, to put stuff in your calendar, put reminders on your calendar, or if you use things like a Trello board or Slack or any kind of productivity tool that will give you notifications, I find those extremely useful. I build out calendars for my clients for when to post, and of course built into that is what I'm going to post and all kinds of other things. And so, just there are tools that you can have and create for yourself that will make that consistency. It's really just building a habit or creating a habit for yourself. And if you think of it in terms of building relationship, because I mean, if you're going to put out content that is just for clicks or likes or that kind of thing, that's nice, but they're called vanity numbers for a reason, and clicks don't pay the bills. So, you know, you are doing this to drive business, to fill your classes, to, you know, sell your book. If you think of it in terms of building that relationship, and yes, it's technically it's one to many, but you know, if you're paying attention to one person at a time, you're building those individual relationships. Gone are the days when you need tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands or even thousands of likes and followers.
Thank goodness.
Oh yeah, no, honestly, like those days are long gone and so not important. You need a solid base of, you know, 100 really loyal fans and followers. And, you know, once the gears of the machine of your business are well oiled, those 100 people spread the word for you when you no longer have to be as obsessed with advertising and networking per se, or, you know, other methods of driving business. So it's about those, just building those solid relationships. And that's quite easily done inside of like groups and DM threads and those types of things. So yeah.
I like that. And actually, you know, I was thinking, well, when you're starting to date someone, you don't have to think about it because you just want to see them all the time. But I'm in a long-term relationship. It's been 5 years with my nesting partner, and we have to mindfully schedule date nights once a week. Otherwise, we don't see each other. So we could think I could think about social media that way. I have to mindfully schedule date nights with my nesting partner, so I can mindfully schedule my Facebook or whatever.
And I wouldn't even ask you to, you know, again, things have changed so dramatically since COVID, right? Like it's not about being constantly present. It's about being thoughtfully present and bringing value. For the longest time, I struggled with, I mean, I'm talking years and years ago, but everybody was like, just bring value to your, you know, to your audience. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't get it. But that's where, you know, truly knowing your avatar, who your ideal client or customer is and where they live, and serving them, just serving, over delivering. And when you think you're delivering too much value, just keep going, because there's always more. Truly, there's always more.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how much you know when you start uncovering it, I think.
Oh, it's so true. And then people ask questions, and then that uncovers more and more layers, and it just kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So for the average solopreneur, how much time would you recommend putting aside for social media? So not necessarily like writing blogs or creating content, but just kind of social media in general, whatever that means. How much time and how would you structure that time? Like, what is your suggestion around that?
That's a very good question. I like to teach a method of sort of batch content creation. So let's say if Sunday is more of a down day for you, or Saturday, take an hour, maybe a couple of hours, create the content that you want to put out for the week, or at least strategize around what you think you want to talk about. Create either the imagery, or if you're going to put together a little video, and then you can schedule it out that day. And then throughout the week, just continue to check in, take 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, check in on your channels. Unless, you know, you like being on your phone all day. I'm not sure. I don't like to be on my phone all day anymore. But, you know, check in a couple of times a day just to see if there are comments and questions. If there aren't, leave comments and questions for other people in your niche and in your genre, and people who you potentially want to be working with. So, you know, there's the possibility of you stopping the scroll, what we, as we're all sitting here scrolling through, that's our objective, is to stop the scroll. And so people can engage with us, but that doesn't always happen. So for us to take a little bit of time and engage with other people that we potentially want to work with, or that we think would be great in our community. Take a little bit of time every day to do that if you can. So again, I like to teach one bigger chunk of time just to create the content that you're going to put out for that week, or let's say a 2-week time period, and then as much as you can on a daily basis, like 10-15 minutes in the morning, 10-15 minutes in the evening, to engage and just cover your bases, see if there's any questions that need answered or anything like that.
I like that. So, kind of big rock strategizing for the value and the content that I'm going to create, like little training videos or Facebook Lives, whatever. Yeah. And then just a small mindful amount each day just to check in with people and build personal relationships, because that kind of covers both bases. I'm still representing myself as a business.
Yes.
I'm still putting content out there on a consistent basis, but I'm also creating those personal relationships, which make it feel less like shouting into a void.
Yes, exactly.
And more like I'm talking to real people.
And I'm glad you said that, representing yourself as a business. I just want to clarify, like, everything I ever talk about is social media marketing. So I'm talking about your Facebook business page, your Instagram business account. If you have a LinkedIn page, creating content there. LinkedIn is a little bit different. It's good to put some content on your page if you can, but even just the content that goes on your LinkedIn profile is fine as well. But yeah.
And that's actually, that brings me to a really good point, because I've had a lot of people ask me, I have a personal, I mostly deal on Facebook, so, but this applies to everything, but I'm just going to use Facebook as an example because that's what I know. I have a personal profile on Facebook. I've created a business page. Do I need a business profile? Like, as I start to build awareness of who I am, do I need a different me that's like business me versus private me? And how does that work? And what is your advice around that?
Yeah. So when you join Facebook, you agree to their terms of service, which is you will not use your personal profile to do business. So everybody still does it, but that doesn't mean it's right. So I don't condone that. There are ways around that. So you can share your business posts onto your personal profile if you so choose. But I mean, you should not be doing any type of business posts on your personal profile. You should be doing that on your business page. You don't need a separate account. And in fact, again, if you have 2 Facebook accounts, like 2 separate email addresses, against terms of service. If you create a personal profile as a business name, against terms of service, and you could be reported. And so you don't want that, right? So just follow their rules. And yes, they are this ginormous conglomerate who they're taking over the planet, but that's okay.
Well, it's tricky sometimes, because I know, like, obviously I have a lot of friends in the acting industry, because I trained as an actor, and there are a lot of actors who will have a personal profile that's almost hidden for their family and friends, and then they'll have a public profile as their like persona, or there's often their stage name. And that makes a little bit more sense to me, because you are your business, but you're still a person. But I think for us, like, I only have one profile, but I have a business page and I have business groups, and I do business there.
Yes.
As me, but I do business there, in the business space, and sometimes I'll share it on my personal profile, but not.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I typically teach and follow an 80-20 rule. So 80 on your Facebook business page, 80% business, 20% personal. I went on holidays or, Father's Day or what have you. And then over on your personal profile, 80% personal, 20% business. And that business being, sharing something from your business page to your personal profile, or from another business that you like or own or whatever onto your personal profile. So
just make sure your personal stuff is hidden if it's not business appropriate.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that because, you know, people do want to build a relationship with a human being, but it's
Mhm.
important to separate, I think, our
Yeah.
business selves from our personal selves as much as we can. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
very easy to do.
Yeah, exactly.
When we're talking about, you know, building consistency and batching content, when you talk about scheduling, do you do that? Um, do you use like a scheduler like Hootsuite or something like that? Because I've heard mixed things. I've heard that it's amazing because you can schedule things ahead, but I've also heard that it creates a kind of impersonal feel, and I'm very mixed about it. How do you
Yeah.
feel about it?
I personally love schedulers because if I didn't use them, I would be at my computer 24/7
Mm,
because of, I have a lot of clients and then also throwing my own marketing into the mix. So
mm.
I use them daily. My new favorite is actually Facebook Creator Studio.
Ah,
So that manages Facebook and Instagram. It seamlessly, and it's so beautiful. I can't say enough about how great it is. So if you spend a lot of time and you do a lot of marketing on those two platforms, and it's free, Facebook Creator Studio is what you want to use. Outside of that, there are a lot of alternatives. Outside of that, Hootsuite is what else I've used all these years. But yeah, there's so many, and it really can be a personal preference. So for a long time, people were concerned that you weren't getting as many impressions or as much reach if you were using a scheduler, and
mm-hmm.
it's just been proven to not be so. So, but
Awesome. That's what I want to hear.
yeah, at the same time, though, you do see the little, posted via Buffer
Mm-hmm.
or posted via Sprout Social or Hootsuite or what have you.
Mm.
And, if that puts I don't know, dampens your enthusiasm for the actual content itself, then that's too bad.
Well, and that I think
But
is where your strategy comes in, because maybe my batched pre-planned content is scheduled, but that mindful 10 minutes every morning and 10 minutes in the evening every evening isn't. And so there
exactly.
is a mix. It's not like I'm
Yeah,
100% bot driven.
right.
I am also a human being interacting as well. So there's that balances it out, I imagine.
Exactly. And it just proves and it shows to your audience that you're showing up. And that's what they
Mm-hmm.
want more than anything. Human beings want to belong, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if they can belong to your audience and your group and your, little group of people or whatever it is, that's all they're looking for. So
And how do you find Facebook Creator? Because I haven't used it.
Facebook Creator Studio, I love it. I
How do you
love it. I
how do
love
you
it.
get to it?
So truthfully, the easiest way, there are a couple of little sort of hidden links inside of Facebook, but
Okay.
just Google search Facebook
Okay.
Creator Studio
So
and
just
it'll,
find it separately outside of Facebook and then use
correct.
it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super.
So I mean, honestly, every day I have a tab for Facebook, Facebook Creator Studio, the Ads Manager, Hootsuite, and then about 30 other tabs of stuff. But yeah, I every day I'm in Creator Studio.
Your
And
computer is about as overloaded as mine, I
oh my
imagine.
word. I thank you, dear laptop, for sticking by me. um, I lost my train of thought. But anyways,
Facebook. Mm.
oh,
Yeah.
as is again, since COVID,
Mm.
things have changed so dramatically that there are times when Facebook is making changes or Instagram, any of the platforms really are making changes and that's when things tend to get a little bit glitchy. But
Mm.
just know that it's just a small period of time and it passes
Yeah.
and then we're on to the next thing. So
While we're talking about Facebook, there's been also a lot of kind of confusion around Facebook Live versus like uploading videos to Facebook. Obviously, a lot of my clients are creating video because it's such a personal, emotional medium. I've recently discovered that Facebook prefers videos over 3 minutes long, so that's good to know. But lives versus pre-recorded versus links to a YouTube video, because sometimes I run a course on how to create video content, and sometimes people are having trouble uploading onto Facebook. What is your best advice around that? Like all the different options of sharing video, what would you
well,
suggest?
first and foremost, Facebook hates YouTube.
Good to know.
So yeah, so for anybody to be sharing links, they don't want people leaving Facebook. So for you to do either upload a video natively onto Facebook or do a Facebook Live, kind of one and the same, you're going to want a bit of a different strategy around those two formats of video. But yeah, if you're going to be on YouTube, stay on YouTube. Sharing a link over to your Facebook business page will not get you as much reach or as many impressions as you would probably like. And that's just a fact. Facebook doesn't want you leaving. So, and then the difference between an uploaded video and a live video, again, you know, it really varies on, or depends on what your strategy is. Do you have, I mean, you can take the same video that you've created for YouTube and upload it to Facebook independently. And so that way you're not having to create two different videos. And, you know, the uploaded videos are often a little more professional, or they're edited, not necessarily professional, but, you know, you've taken a little bit of extra time, done your hair and your makeup and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you've scripted it even. I know there's a lot of video creators that still like scripting. And the live, there's so much strategy around what lives are good for. The best case scenario that I've seen and researched myself is in terms of, you know, having like a weekly show, or definitely using them inside of your Facebook groups for training purposes, or, you know, if it's a weekly, let's say you're doing a weekly yoga practice thingy and you have your own group and you go live every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. kind of thing.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just more of a relaxed question and answer feel to it, interviews. And in fact, the live platform, the Facebook Live platform, just recently had a new update. I'm not even sure if it's in Canada yet, but I know a lot of my American friends have it already, where you can now do interviews on Facebook Live on their brand new live platform. Whereas like even a few months ago, you couldn't. You had to use a third party, something like Zoom or StreamYard or something like that.
Oh, exciting.
So yeah, they're making it really exciting. They're just expanding at a rate my head is just spinning every day with the new stuff that's coming out. But in terms of the strategy surrounding the live versus the uploaded video, like I would reserve lives for something that's a little more casual or less, or a little more maybe intimate. Save it for your groups. Or if you do like a weekly type show on your business page, then do that there. And the more consistent you can be with that, the greater audience you can expect to retain and attain.
All about consistency.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's huge. And that's the hard one, because we're all just so dang busy. So that's why scheduling things, putting it in your calendar, having your time block of content creation or just marketing period inside of your week helps tremendously.
And yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, different, even within a platform, different types of video for different contexts, different purposes. And as far as different platforms go, what is the kind of context for each platform? I mean, I use Facebook, and that's pretty much it. Okay. But there's lots out there now. There's TikTok, and there's so much. As far as like per platform, how to choose where to kind of focus at the beginning, are there platforms that are better for certain types of business or certain types of content? Could you talk a bit about that?
I would say I would more relate the platform to your audience and your avatar. So where do they hang out? Are they on LinkedIn? Are you solely B2B? That's where I would typically spend more time then, if that was, my scenario. If your audience is 50-something empty nester moms, they're likely on Facebook still. Surprisingly, a lot of them are on, a lot of us, because that's me. We're on TikTok. And so, just really, really knowing your audience well and serving them where they are at. So,
and so you just have to do research on that, or are there places you can go to find that out, or do you just have to ask people?
Just poke your nose around and look around, right? So if you're doing, if you are on Instagram, scroll through the Explore tab and see what comes up. Go on to the feed will be just the people that you follow.
Yeah.
But just research some hashtags, especially on Instagram. Researching hashtags is huge and very, very advantageous.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I promise I only have 2 more questions. We're getting so
forever.
deep into this. I'm getting a little bit geeky out about it too. I'm getting very excited. So 2 more questions, and then I promise I won't take up too much time. A lot of my audience and myself as well are doing online events, and we're learning how to promote events online, and it's all very haphazard. What is your best advice about promoting events online? What's the best way? Because that does feel a bit like shouting into the void, like, come to my thing. What would you recommend?
Stories. Instagram stories, Facebook stories. The different platforms are developing their own versions of that, but those 2 right there. So using your Instagram stories and your Facebook business page stories, or for this instance, using your personal profile stories on Facebook to promote your events and that kind of thing. So easy, so fun, so doable. The tools that they have inside of the different platforms, so that what I call a suite of tools, including location, geotagging, hashtags, stickers, like there's just so much available inside of the stories platform to share. It's really kind of mind-boggling, and being found by people that you wouldn't even think would find you, and so that's dependent on how you have your story settings. But to promote events and your business, I'm not saying, or I'm not suggesting, be that billboard marketing, just day after day, day in, day out, buy my stuff because I said so. It doesn't work like that. But if you're wanting to fill an event with, talk about it a little bit, give examples, if you can, of people that have been to your events in the past and the outcomes they had, and interject a little fun and flavor and whatever into your stories. The fun thing about stories it's just you being yourself and talking. And you can interject, a frame of something that you created on Canva or whatever graphic design platform that you like to use. It's just this beautiful mixture of everything that represents you and who you are. And so there's no real fast and dry rule as to how it should be. But showing up on stories every day can change the trajectory of your business 100%.
Okay, so I'm going to be very vulnerable right now and admit
Sure.
that I have never made a story because I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, you're not the first person to say that to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you.
It sounds very exciting, but I'm just like, what? I don't understand. I know how to tell stories, but I don't know how to use
that's perfect.
a story app.
I just want to make sure, I'm in so this is my Instagram account. Oh, stand by 1 second. I have,
Please hold.
Yeah, I'm dating a pilot, so now everything is standby.
Oh, I love it.
So, yeah. All right. Oh, come on now. So Instagram, right? This is mine. These along the top here are stories.
I have seen those. How do you make one?
So, shortest tutorial in the books. If you're looking at your account, you're on the feed, the little camera icon here in the top left-hand corner. I just tapped it, And there is the beginning of the makings of a story.
So it's like a video?
Yeah. So
Okay.
one story frame is 15 seconds long. So hang on.
Do you get multiple frames per story?
You can put together. So I'm holding record right now and I'm just talking into it. I'm going to say, hey, my friend of the internet, how was your day? I did this and this and this. I'm currently on a Zoom call, blah, blah, blah. I let go and there it is right there.
Okay.
I can now, if I can, this is an iPhone, by the way. If you have an Android, it's basically the same, but I'm going to pull up and here's this enormous set of tools, this suite of tools.
All right.
Where you can geotag, you can mention other accounts. So let's say I said I was on Danielle's Zoom call. I would mention you. You would get a notification. All the people that watch my stories would now have the ability to find you and see what you're about because you've been tagged. There's hashtags, there's GIFs and stickers. There's just a million things.
And so you can kind of put multiple little 15-second bits together.
Yep. Or if you don't want to do what's called a talking head video, you can just take a picture. There's a picture. And then you can add, they had right on their front page of their tools, share Black stories, right? Because the Black Lives Matter is still really big and everywhere. And so it should be. And so it should be.
Yeah.
So, and because if I were to share this right now, because that sticker is on my picture, that's going to add an extra layer of discoverability because this is associated with a whole, like anybody that's using this sticker can now be found in the Explore tab.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's just, it's really endless. The possibilities from using stories. So
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. Like I want to reiterate the importance of content. Yes, it's there. If you are only going to do one piece of content on your channels per week, definitely go into your stories every single day and share at least one thing, because the more you share on your stories on Instagram and on Facebook, the more frequently your bubble will come to the front of the line and more people will see that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm now excited about stories. I was a little bit scared, but I now feel.
Don't be scared.
Thank you for explaining that to me.
Do you remember? I'm not sure if I said this at Karen's thing or not, but something I said almost accidentally. This was probably right at the beginning of my career. I said, "Go ahead and push buttons. You can't break anything." You know, people are so scared to try. But that's the only way you're going to learn.
You can't break anything, but you can put a video of yourself looking up your nose up on.
Yep. But you can also delete it right away. Stories can be deleted if you don't like what you've put on and accidentally posted.
That's good to know.
Just delete it. And stories are ephemeral. They only last for 24 hours.
Perfect.
So it's that FOMO thing, right? So that's also another reason why you want to make something every single day. So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lorri. I feel like I have a million more questions, but I should wrap up this interview. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Otherwise people can be watching, 3 days worth of interview, which could be an interesting thing. That's a different kind of event though. Yeah. I've learned a lot, and I think you've taken a lot of the pressure off for me, and I hope for others, and in kind of helping me prioritize and find a way to do it more authentically and a way that feels more like me, because that's always the kind of hesitation for me, is that I don't want to put myself out there in an inauthentic way, but being authentic every single day and out there and exposed all the time is also exhausting. So that really helps.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to give people the opportunity to work with you. I know you do. I know you teach, and I know you facilitate, and I know you also work kind of more freelancer style as well, and do for clients who don't want to do it themselves. So can you tell us a bit about what it's like to work with you and how we can find you?
Absolutely. So all of my handles are either my name, which is Lorri Klassen, Lorri with 2 R's, or Klassen Marketing. And Klassen is Klassen. And in terms of working with me, there's a variety of different packages that I have available. I have a small business package now that I'm currently creating. It will be available very shortly, and that's something that any small business owner or entrepreneur can take and run with on their own, because I have so many people asking me to work with them, but they simply can't afford it. So I'm creating something malleable and something that they can personalize, yet do on their own. So I'm really excited about that. I have a mastermind level as well in terms of teaching business owners everything they need to know in terms of digital marketing and sales funnels. And then of course the done for you services in terms of if you don't want to do any of it and just say, Lorri, here you go, please do it for me. That's the majority of what I've done over the last decade. And so I love it all though, because as you've seen throughout this evening, how much I absolutely love, and I'm very passionate about social media marketing. So yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And we didn't even touch on funnels. We could do like a whole
Oh
other
my
special sometime.
goodness.
Maybe I'll have you back and have you talk about
You
funnels.
will.
And I really appreciate the kind of different levels that you offer, because I know as a solopreneur, it's always that struggle of, what can I do myself? What can I get someone else to do? There's that time versus money push and pull. So I appreciate that you have multiple options available.
Well, it was really pulling at my heart that I couldn't help a lot of people. So that's why I am creating something that is very affordable and a one-time payment kind of thing, and very functional. So I'm really excited to get that one out to the masses, and that's going to be in the next couple of weeks.
Yay! Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your expertise. Thank you for being so amazing. And I guess we'll just definitely have to have you back. And so until then.
I think that would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Danielle. It's been a real pleasure.